Ladies and gentlemen, happy Monday. We are in week 3 or 4, Jay, of NGS season 9.
3.
3
Yeah.
sounds right, although
No,
I
no.
no, I
No,
think
it is 4.
it is 4. God, time
Yeah.
flies. Holy,
Time flies when you're in quarantine.
yeah, for realsies, right? So we are here for Division B West Caffeinated Knights versus Nanoed ABBA. And while we're waiting for them to swap teams around, we can take a look at the standings in Division B West. And in those standings, Caffeinated Knights sitting in a cool third place with 11 points in 4 matches, but they have actually a match in hand over the two teams above them. So with a domination, they would actually leap into first place. Actually, with a 2-1, they would actually leap into first place as well. And their opponent today, Nanoed ABBA, only played 3 matches where they have picked up 1 domination and been 2-0'd twice. So 1 and 2 in their matchups. So if you're a team like Nanoed ABBA, where on paper at least you're an underdog, um, you know what? Even in a loss, if you pick up a map, you can pick up a point and still feel good about yourself. But of course, always feels better to pick up 2 or 3.
Yeah, meanwhile up top, if you're a team that's got that many points this season with wins over the people that are in front of you in the standings, like that's a solid start to the season. If you're going to have easier matches down the road, and those teams above you probably don't have that kind of record to boast. So I would imagine they're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and if you're a team like Caffeinated Knights with the strong start to the season, with eyes looking at the number 1, number 2 seed, kind of making a deep playoff run, uh, and on paper you look like you're the favorite. This is a team you want to take care of business. You want to pick up ideally 3 points, but at minimum 2, right? So um, no letting off the gas, as it were.
I mean, while I see a couple of pretty memorable names here in the NGS community that we've seen for quite a while. I've seen Yep rolling around quite a bit. Rewind. The other side, Jägermeister.
Yep, some familiar names. Andrew, of course, assuming it's the same Andrew because it is a common name. I believe,
Could be any Andrew. It's
yeah, it
not
could
our
be.
Andrew.
I believe he was on HOTUS back in the day. So, game number 1, Caffeinated Knights have banned out Tomb of the Spider King Queen and Braxis Holdout, taking care of some of those smaller maps. Maybe they like the larger ones. Nanoed ABBA banned Cursed Hollow and Towers of Doom, banning the smaller map or the larger maps, and then picked Battlefield of Eternity. So it looks like Caffeinated Knights wants the larger maps, whereas Nanoed ABBA wants the smaller maps. Is kind of just glancing at there. Does that say anything to you?
Well, it says that they're going to have for Nano ABBA at least, they're going to have a good time on this first map. Here we are, Battlefield of Eternity for game number 1. And, 2-lane map, very, very battle heavy. And in my experience, when you like the smaller maps, that does mean you tend to favor team fighting. That's where you're going to encourage the most team fighting overall. When you have a bigger map, you can kind of spread out. You can play the macro a little bit more. You can try and control the game through that macro.
Yeah, and what it kind of says to me is maybe if you did your homework a little and you've been paying attention uh, to the teams, maybe you kind of feel like, you know what, their macro is a little bit stronger than ours, but I feel like we can catch them with the team fighting. So let's target those smaller maps where we can kind of minimize their advantage and maximize what we're closest to them at. Oh, I really hope I put these teams on the right side. Oh, bummer! I always try to check that first.
Yeah,
Roster
I was about to ask.
roster check time.
All right, so let's see. Team captain for Caffeinated Knights is Vincenzi, and that is
Yes!
who you have on the left. So you're,
Nailed
I
it.
mean, even when you don't check it, you got a 50-50 shot, right?
Nailed
Like,
it. I'm going to say I'm a pro. Never any doubt. Nailed it.
oh, there you go.
All right, so Stukov, first ban by Caffeinated Knights. The Greymane with the Great Burn on Battlefield of Eternity, banned out by Nanoed ABBA. Not a big surprise there. Greymane, really solid generalist assassin and even stronger on BOE.
Yeah, there's a specialized metagame on this map for that burn, and that's what pretty much everybody talks about most of the time. Rhaegar, by the way, the best burn healer in the game. But one of the things that's not talked about a whole lot is the terrain on this map. It is very, very tight. Not corridors on this map, but there's a lot of terrain that you have to filter through. So I really like that Stukov because he's really good at cutting off those choke points as you're trying to rotate in and out of these immortal points.
Yeah, and we have two um, draft strats showing themselves. Caffeinated Knights is choking out the support pool, targeting Stukov and Rhaegar. If I were to guess, you're going to see them pick their support before second ban to kind of continue that strategy. And Nanoed ABBA as targeting the burn heroes, the Greymane and the Liming. The Liming is probably the most effective ranged burn, like very long distance burn on BOE, and those guys uh, being banned out by Nanoed ABBA.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you would kind of expect to see the damage dealer picked up here, so they're going to grab the Rainer for the side of Nanoed ABBA before more of those get banned out in that choke, and they're going to get the Malthael. Good burn potential for the Malthael as well. It is a poison burn, so it's not quite as fast, kind of like the old Lunara strategy. It's good damage, but it kind of comes in a little bit slow. But meanwhile, on the other side, Johanna, very good control tank, good blinds as a counter to both Malthael and Rainer.
And I was wrong. They went with the Artanis, who's getting a little action this week. Worth noting, both Cassia and Tracer are actually available as of today off of their rework. But on that Malthael, that must be a comfort pick for Andrew and Nanoed ABBA, because typically you don't see it quite as highly prioritized as that, but they really put a lot of importance on that pick.
Yeah, especially when you're the second pick team, because you do have the option to save that solo lane pick for last to be able to force the ability to counter it based on what the other pick is. But even so, Artanis still, gonna maybe struggle a little bit into Malthael. The burn can be pretty good. The shielding can help with that a little bit. But I guess we'll have to see how it goes. But meanwhile, Anduin banned out. So Nanoed ABBA really kind of flexing the hero pool here of their healer. Even with those targeted bans early, they still take out a healer, limiting that pool. And the Ana is going to be picked up here for Donald.
Yeah, I think what they did there with that Anduin ban, knowing they had next pick, is they actually turned the support choke onto Caffeinated Knights. They knew they could actually deny two supports by picking one and banning the other. And now Caffeinated Knights has a more limited pool of support heroes with which to pick from. Thank you so much for the host. I always appreciate it. We are in the draft for Game 1, B West, Caffeinated Knights versus Nanoed ABBA, just here at the tail end of the draft, as Caffeinated Knights pick up solo support Uther, something that's fallen out of vogue a little bit. You kind of saw him in the meta most recently as kind of a duo support, off-tank, pseudo-support thing, but it will be solo support Uther for the side of Caffeinated Knights.
Yeah, meanwhile, Caffeinated Knights taking these picks that can be a little bit troublesome, I think, into what Nanoed ABBA has, specifically the Hanzo, who likes to hang around those walls. Diablo, again, very good with the terrain on this map. So you worry a little bit about that possible counter. But the Chromie going to come in here for Rewind. Very astute pick there to match with his name. But, good poke overall. Good engageability. I like Nanoed ABBA's draft here.
Yeah, I actually really like that Chromie pick at the end. Chromie is kind of poke damage. She does you mentioned the Stukov lurking arm. If you go slowing sands, Chromie can kind of do sort of the same thing, control space, and in the terrain and the area around the Immortals, space is at a premium. But also, Uther's weakness as a support is, topping off heroes. He has strong burst heals and armor, but doesn't have the ability to top off his teammates very well. There's not a lot of self-sustain on the side of Caffeinated Knights. So if Nanoed Abba, I think, if they get slow fights where Raynor and Chromie can kind of poke and poke and poke and poke, I think that will be to their advantage. Whereas if you're Caffeinated Knights, you're going to want these fights to go fast. They're going to want to lock somebody down and blow them up, because the more drawn out they are, the harder it's going to be for Uther to act in that solo support function.
Right. Meanwhile, you got pretty good zoning up front with the Diablo, good engage ability as well. So we'll see exactly how that goes here.
All right, in the blue trunks, Caffeinated Knights with a real strong start to the season, gunning for taking over first place in the division. We have Vivenshi, is how I'm going to say that, on Hanzo, Osmanthus on Johanna, Cyan, CP9 on Artanis, all these names, man. Harborum on Uther, and worth noting, Jägermeister actually going to take the solo lane because the ranged heroes do much better against Malthael than the melee ones. So a little adjustment there already from CK.
Meanwhile, on the right, we got Nanoed Abba, and their team name's probably going to be the toughest part of this one. You gave me the easy side, brother. Donald's going to be playing Ana. Ana Take 89 going to be on the Raynor. Rewind on the Chromie. Andrew going to be playing Malthael. And Yep going to be playing Diablo.
So we'll try to, as the swap from Artanis misses, we'll keep an eye on that Sylve Malthael matchup, but I think Malthael is going to probably struggle into that a little bit.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It depends a lot on positioning, but especially if we get a 2-on-1 up here, it could make up the difference. Jägermeister going in should be a sign for Andrew to get out the swap. Just going to be juked there. Nice movement there from Andrew. This guy's really got some moves with that slow glide to the left there, but very well done.
And now Sylve swapping back, deciding they will leave Artanis in lane against Malthael. Nanoed Abba here kind of made a move toward the camp and then changed their mind and came back. A little bit of indecision here, but both sides are now here, kind of dancing around the bottom siege camp. I don't imagine either one will actually make a move on it as long as the other team is there and at full strength.
Yeah, both teams just kind of keeping the other one guessing. They're kind of feeling each other out here a little bit in game number 1, I think.
And these poke battles, if Chromie lands her skill shots and Raynor stays on target, I do think will favor Nanoed Abba. We'll have to see how that plays out. Oh, but in the top lane, Artanis escaping with 113 health and picking up the kill onto Malthael. So that was a duel that we missed. Both sides really went in there hard, but bottom lane, Caffeinated Knights are making a play on this camp despite 4 members here. Joe is very low. She's forced to take a nap. She has to back up. I think Ironskin is on cooldown. CK is going to have to cede this point. Yep went in real deep to send a little message to Joe there. And I think kind of tanking the mercs on the backside was the difference, and they were forced to just back up because Johanna lost so much health.
Yeah, very aggressive move by Caffeinated Knights. You never want to be the team that gets engaged on when a camp is being taken. You got, even before heroics come into play, you still have your basic abilities down when you're trying to clear the camp. So if you do that, you have to do it very tenuously. You have to just use basic attacks, and that's kind of tough to clear it in general without losing some health. So just an unfortunate play for them, but they clear it up pretty easily. It's definitely not backbreaking this early in the game.
Giggle, thanks for the comment on the volume. I did make an adjustment. You guys let me know if I'm coming in a little bit louder now, as both sides have secured the mercenary camps and are now posturing toward the Immortals, but Ana caught in a rough spot. Some unfortunate positioning there, and she goes down in a hurry. Andrew is going to fall as well. All of this with Artanis just on burn by Caffeinated Knights.
Yeah, that's exactly how Caffeinated Knights wants the team fights to kind of go on there. They want to be able to get on to the squishy members of Nanoed ABBA quickly, get those team fights shut down. And it's like you mentioned earlier, Goose, if they are able to stretch these fights out a little bit more for Nanoed ABBA, they're going to do well in these team fights, but you just can't have Ana be the one that gets engaged on early there.
Yeah, there were unfortunately some positioning errors there, and they kind of got engaged on in piecemeal. Nanoed ABBA deciding to take the loss, take down whatever shields they can. The one thing we haven't talked about, though, is the burn for Caffeinated Knights, though, is significantly better, I think, than the burn for Nanoed ABBA here.
Right, and so that means that Nanoed ABBA is going to have to play defensively on these points. But meanwhile, here for this first one, look at the counterbalance here. They just send Artanis to go up and soak with the Immortal. They're actually pushing with Sylv in the off lane, so not even trying to aid that Immortal as you might expect with the Sylv. Instead, again, just trying to keep Nanoed ABBA off their, kind of on their back foot, guessing what they're going to be doing here.
Well, yeah, and that's what the value of this is. You can opt to push with or in the off lane if you're a team with Sylv, but the most important thing is they got free push because Nanoed ABBA kind of guessed wrong and had to rotate down.
Right. That's where Vision can come into play as well. At level 1, the Vision talent not taken for Chromie, so there's not going to be any additional scouting. Really, they can only depend on what Vision Caffeinated Knights is going to give them in this game.
And they did secure the bottom wall. Top lane actually got wall 2, so 2 walls for the first Immortal. This is actually a pretty good return on your investment there.
Yeah, the first Immortal doesn't tend to get a whole lot. You could make the argument that with Sylv, it can get a little bit more, but they got plenty with those 2 walls. Now they're going to get the camp bottom. Ooh, Jägermeister going in a little bit there. A little bit of a scary jump on in with that haunting wave, but now we'll have the camp picked up bot and another push-in attempt here for Caffeinated Knights.
Yeah, with Dibbles right there, if he was maybe a little quicker on the trigger finger. Speaking of quick on the trigger finger, Chromie, Diablo, they are down. Caffeinated Knights now 5 unanswered kills, and they have their eyes set on taking down bottom fort right as the second objective phase of the game is going to spawn.
Yeah, Winmore Sylv into play here, as now with that push, they're able to get the first fort of the game down here in bot. Now about a level and a half lead for Caffeinated Knights. They're going to have level 10 right around the time this, a little bit after this Immortal spawns actually, but still well within that range of when these Immortals are up. And I don't know if there's really anything that Nanoed ABBA is going to be able to do to really contest this.
Yeah, this is a rough spot. They're going to give up a full strength Immortal, and they will not have heroics to contest, and they're going to have Sylv pushing with it. Speaking of heroics, Blessed Shield onto the Chromie. There's the arrow. Down she goes. Nanoed ABBA taking some engagements while down in numbers. Scatter arrow goes and eliminates Ana. Diablo trying to get the finish on the Sylv, but I don't think is getting out of there alive. There's the Divine Storm. That's 3 unanswered. Now Sylv pushing with her teammates while Artanis is securing the objective, and things just went from bad to worse for Nanoed ABBA, and we haven't even had time to go over the heroics.
No, we haven't, as the push continues here in the bot lane. You even got the first catapult paired up with still one of those bruiser camp spear throwers down there, just aiding in the push. Meanwhile, a nearly full shield Immortal going to be heading to top lane, and now you can kind of do that 5-man push. Meanwhile, still half a level before Nanoed ABBA has level 10, and again, they're going to get caught out here. Yep gets swapped back in, is able to overpower to try and get away, but it's not going to be enough. Diablo goes down. He's extra squishy now actually, no, he hasn't gotten to those 100 souls yet.
I like this call from CK. They took down the Diablo. They are up as Dragon Arrow goes out a second time. He got 2 uses of his heroic before Nanoed ABBA has even got theirs yet, but they continue to have their eyes set on this keep. Down it goes, and level 10s finally here as Chromie gets swapped and stunned and sent back to the Hall of Storms. And this could be the beginning of the end here.
Yeah, it's a little bit early to end, especially with these new changes to the cores. being a little bit tougher to push in, but this is still really going to put Nanoed ABBA on the back foot. They have level 10 now. They can maybe try and level this game out and try and put something together later, but level 13 right around the corner.
Now,
Meanwhile, another swap in, another attempt to find somebody out. Caffeinated Knights not really letting their foot off the gas pedal.
yeah, that was actually a really big missed opportunity for Nanoed ABBA. Sylv was not at that camp. Johanna had hearthed back to fill up on health and mana. They had a 5v3 and were not able to lock anybody down with an Apocalypse. Those are those moments where you go back and watch the game where you kind of look at him like, you know what, that was our spot to get back in it right there.
Yeah, now we see bottom camp going to be taken to kind of offset the push in the top, but yeah, they don't have Uther with them, but right now, 4 showing on the map. They're going to go ahead and push into this top wall. We'll see if maybe this is the opportunity Nanoed ABBA's been looking for.
And Chromie went into that bush first and kind of paid for it. Wailing Arrow, Dragon Arrow, Divine Storm, Chromie down. Diablo's likely to follow, but he has to run from the laser beam, and he does survive. Now there's the Nanoed Malthael, getting some value, but not quite able to finish the job. Diablo takes the re-engage. These blue health bars are so low, but the level difference is really preventing much from going on. Uther goes down, uses the Ghost Hills, and that is 4-1 in favor of Caffeinated Knights.
Yeah, a lot of credit to Donald there, getting a ton of heals out, doing everything possible to try and keep him in. And actually, Artanis going to overstay a little bit up here in top, but well worth that 1 death to get the second keep off the board. And now, as we head into this next Immortal phase, there's going to be constant pressure in both of these lanes, pushing up against Nanoed ABBA.
Yeah, not that it's impossible, but being in a spot where you're down 2 keeps to no structures and 3 levels, that's about as rough as it gets.
Yeah, now Artanis is still down here. This invasion could be going on to this camp back here. It looks like they have gotten over there to at least deter the members of Caffeinated Knights. But now as Artanis starts to come back up, we're coming back in. Look out, 5-man arrow after the Blessed Shield, and that is I think that is the beginning of the end right there, Goose.
Well, there is your play of the game right there. Somebody clip it, put it in highlights, and I'm kind of surprised they're even messing with the Immortal, to be honest. Although death timers are still kind of low, I guess.
Yeah, I think if you get the Immortal here, you pretty much guarantee it. Where you go straight core, you probably are okay. But,
I mean,
you know.
There was already Merc's top, but yeah, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Regardless, level 16 to 13, no keeps, 3 katas. Here comes the Immortal. A valiant last stand by Nanoed ABBA. They do catch 1 in the APOC, and there is Nanoed Malthael actually getting the Sylv. Andrew getting some work done. Uther going down too. So Nanoed ABBA not going quietly, but Malthael will not fall quite yet. Just keeps healing. Andrew is still going. And this game may continue after all.
Yeah, there's the arrow. They're trying to kind of poke out and deter, but they got to be careful here not to make things worse. The worst thing you can do when you're up this many levels is give a lot of player deaths over to the other side.
Yeah.
And allow them to catch up super quickly. Now, the issue if you're Caffeinated Knights is you've got these waves pushed out so far. There's not a whole lot you can do safely. You can try to do camps, but still with Joe down for 10 seconds, it's a little risky. Down bot here, the invasion is going to come in. He actually pushes him off just in time as that camp comes in. So heads up play there for the side of Nanoed ABBA. They're trying to stay in this game.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned the level lead. When Caffeinated Knights started marching on core there, they had a 3-level lead, and now it is just 1. So the 3 unanswered kills makes a world of difference with the catch-up mechanics when you're down in level. But here comes CK stepping back in. Both teams here, 5-on-5, same talent tier. Honestly, with all the heroics up with APOC, I turn this if I'm Nanoed ABBA. This is your fight. 320, same tier, no core pressure. This is your chance to make a stand.
Yeah, for sure. They really cannot afford to let them get onto their camp for free here. They've got to run up there and contest this, but I think they might be too late as they are right now.
This is such a great place for an APOC engagement, too. They were just a little slow. There's the Dragon Arrow, catches 3. The swap splits out Raynor. Divine Storm hits 2. Down goes Anna. This fight is not over yet, though, as Malthael is going bananas, taking down Uther and Artanis. And as bizarre as that whole fight was, Nanoed Abba wins. And Caffeinated Knights forced to limp away with 3 dead and Sylv at no hit points, basically.
Yeah, Sylv now going to jump back up to the top, get a little bit of poke in on the Immortal. But it's definitely a bloodbath at this point. And again, Malthael going to have to stay back to constantly clean up that core. But they're going to get some Immortal damage in here. And they might be able to secure this Immortal before the death timers are down.
It's going to be close. You know, they got to do the little swapsies. Joe's going to be at, like, what, 10 seconds or so? Not quite. Oh, it's in a great spot for him. That's going to help so much. So, Nanoed Abba really should secure their first objective of the game. CK just doing their best to burn the shields, and signs of life from Nanoed Abba.
I'm still not ready to call it a comeback, Goose. But,
I am not. I am not either. I mean, this is a big hill to climb. They're going to need like another, probably 2 team fight wins, I think, to pull this back.
Yeah, so they still have to go back. They have to do the lane maintenance to stay in this game. And now that's going to give a ton of free damage onto the Immortal. Malthael is not here, so Nanoed Abba cannot afford to step in too far. The Immortal hits the ground after losing its shield, and now they'll be able to poke in a little bit here to this fort. Malthael now up. We'll see what they can do here in a 5v5.
Yep is just not getting the value out of that APOC that he wants, but this time Malthael goes in, and they were ready for him. They had all of the cooldowns ready, and he went down real quick.
Yeah, a little bit too far in there, I think, under the towers as well, which will retarget you now when you are damaging the enemy team under their own towers. Now coming back in, trying to get the space, but we're going to see the stun lock down there. They'll push him back to the core, and we'll see if maybe Caffeinated Knights can get us onto a game 2 here. But it looks like for now they're going to have to fall back a little bit. Their health bar's getting a little low.
Yeah, and these cores are pretty tough now. Joe is pretty low, as is Raynor, who does not get away. Down goes Diablo, down goes Raynor, down goes Chromie, and game 1 over to Caffeinated Knights.
Gotta give a lot of credit to Nanoed Abba, though. They stayed in this game a lot longer than I think anybody could have anticipated. And we can see those signs of life in the first half of the game that we saw here closer to the end. I think they've got a shot to bring this to a game 3, if not take the series.
Yeah, there were some signs of life, and for sure, a good core defense and a second good team fight there pulled that game closer to level. But that really felt like CK was just played cleaner throughout the game, and really punished Nanoed Abba for some questionable positioning, and some punished them for not taking advantage of some opportunities. So we'll see how it goes. Here's the talents for anyone so inclined to want to look at those.
Yeah, particularly in the first 10 levels, Caffeinated Knights, I think, definitely more coordinated. Not only that, but very, very good at punishing Nanoed Abba for any time of being out of position, taking advantage of talent tier advantages. Not to mention even some of the more subtler things, like allowing themselves to be pushed off of that bottom camp early, not staying in, giving up deaths, turning a problem from bad to worse. We saw a little bit more of that from Nanoed Abba, when they were down level 10 and then continued to be caught out. even after losing the first few heroes in that situation. So I definitely agree. I think very, very well played by Caffeinated Knights in this first game. We'll see if maybe Nanoed can make the adjustments here in game two.
Yeah, I really think if those guys were to go back and look at that replay review, there was that moment at about level, I don't know, 12, 11, 13, somewhere in there, where they could have caught CK on their siege camp 5v3. That was just such a huge opportunity. And, frankly, Caffeinated Knights giving them that opportunity was actually a mistake. Staying on your opponent's side of the map when they're all up, only three of you, while two of them are off somewhere else, is not generally a wise decision. And not punishing from that, I think, was maybe the moment the game started to kind of get away from them.
Yep.
All right, so while teams are figuring out their game two stuff, we'll put up the BRB screen and we'll be back in uno momento.
Alrighty.
We are back, Mr. J's on for game 2 between Caffeinated Knights and Nanoed ABBA. Going to Infernal Shrines, the old standby. Looks like this was the map choice of Nanoed ABBA, as Caffeinated Knights currently sitting on first pick.
Yep, staying in the realm of Diablo. I would say these are probably the two most popular maps for the most part.
Yeah, Infernal Shrine, certainly.
Overall, like I can tell you that I've definitely had a lot of series that have started off with the Diablo double take.
Yeah, and Infernal Shrines, to me, if I'm preparing for a team that I don't know a lot about and I want to get a feel for them, I think Infernal Shrines is the place I take them. It's kind of a lot of different strategies are viable. It's pretty standard, so I think it's a good place to get a feel for your opponent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, really the only thing that's special about Infernal Shrines is that there are a couple heroes that stand out in terms of being able to take advantage of the shrine clear. But unless you play Kerrigan or Sonya a whole lot, it's basically just like every other map. You prioritize wave clear. The map objectives are important, so you can get a little bit of an advantage if you have a hero like an Alexstrasza, who's particularly good pre-10 with her ability to pop Dragon Queen. But for the most part, it's a lot like most other maps here in the rotation.
Draft here in game 2 looking very similar to game 1. A support choke by CK. First ban Stukov again, but this time choosing to get rid of Anna, which was used very effectively in game 1. I think the Anna play in particular really was kind of the lever on which they tried to pull that game back. On the flip side, no Greymane, no Sylvanas, and first pick Joe. Joe always good, but Infernal Shrines is one of the maps that I think she's just a little bit better too. And once again, Raynor and Malthael for Nanoed ABBA.
Yeah, so we're not going to see the Sylve this time around. A little bit of an adjustment there on that ban out. But Johanna taken again. Caffeinated Knights wanting to make sure that they've got Joe on the front line to secure those same big lockdowns as she did last time. But here's the adjustment. Zol and Anduin coming out. They're going to make sure to pick up that Anduin before Nanoed ABBA can ban it out again this game.
Yeah, absolutely. The Johanduin Light Bomb combo is really solid. It doesn't take a whole lot of coordination. When you see Joe go in with the big condemn, you put the Light Bomb on her, easy peasy. And Zool with the double soak on Shrines is really solid. When Zool was first coming into the game, teams were simply giving first objective, and they would get more value out of double soak Zool than they would out of first objective. Now, obviously, the game much different now, but there are things you can do with his quick wave clear and pressure. And on a map like Shrines, there's ways you can leverage that. As support choke continues, Rhaegar taken out of the game by CK.
Yeah, this time they've got no reason to back off of that strategy. They ban out the Rhaegar, but does leave the Ana up. But instead, Nanoed ABBA is going to take the Malfurion to pair with the ETC. So they've got that constant ticking heal coming in from Malfurion, a little bit of extra lockdown, which they might have felt like they were missing last game with that Malfurion route. And now 2 more picks to finish out Caffeinated Knights draft. Going double mage here, Goose. Li Ming and Kael'thas. Wow.
And there's the Tracer.
It's a misclick. Okay.
Interesting. Well, this just got real. So just like you can't have too much CC, Jay, you also can't have too much damage, frankly.
Right. You can't have too much AoE clear, damage. We can attest to this personally, Goose. Sometimes you can turn a misclick mistake into a win.
Absolutely.
We've done that a couple of times where, yeah. But we'll see how this turns out. I think that double mage on this map can be good with the extra shrine clear. Li Ming is not the best hero at it, but she's also not the worst. You throw those orbs in, they happen to get in the right angle. Sometimes you can get a lot of clear out of that.
Absolutely. And we have had plenty of misclicks, I think. All right.
It does happen.
Game number 2. On Infernal Shrines, in the blue trunks, we have Caffeinated Knights. Fresh off their Game 1 victory, Jägermeister on Kael'thas, Harborim on Anduin, Vivenchi on Li Ming, Saiyan CP9 on Zool, and just making her way out of the Hall of Storms, Osmanthus on Johanna.
And once again, we got Rewind playing a very name-appropriate hero with the Tracer. We've got Yep on ETC, Donald playing Malfurion, Andrew playing Malthael, and Onatak 89 on the Rainer.
A little friendly reminder there for our teams, just so they know. Living Bomb was not spread, actually. Way to get out of there. And just as expected, Jay, Zool, double soak, bottom lane, 4 members of CK in the top, and it's Malthael can not match it all the way, but can fake it. Although I love this. Look at delaying the rotation to make sure that Malthael misses 1 experience orb. That Root bought 1 experience orb. I mean, it seems silly, but over the course of the game, those add up. Little advantages here and there.
They do. Meanwhile, a little bit of a push opportunity for those minions as well.
Tracer does not want to eat Li Ming combos. Spoiler alert.
Nope. Can confirm. It's not good for Tracers. The bomb combo as well, kind of dealing a lot of damage. They're basically just focusing a lot of damage at Rewind, and that kind of seems like their main strategy for trying to keep them at bay. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, Zool is being collapsed on, but Rewind actually ends up going down first. And now Saiyan, trying to get out, will hit the root and is just barely able to wiggle on out. Meanwhile, ETC falls in the top. And Caffeinated Knights pick up a very cheeky 2-0 to start this game.
Yeah, Zool, I think that the rotation by Tracer was really a nice rotation. Unfortunately, the Tracer was just too beat up from Living Bombs and Li Ming orbs to get in there like she wanted, and Zool just kind of finished her off. If that was a full health Tracer, that Zool's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, meanwhile, Caffeinated Knights taking advantage up in this top lane, just brutalizing this lane to get started. Even able to take out part of the well so far, along with this entire front wall. Nice stun, by the way, by Jägermeister, interrupting that slide, staying in the safety zone. But meanwhile, Saiyan gonna have to back up again as Tracer rotates in, and they almost get the pick for a second time.
Yep, both teams picking up their top camps. Oh, I lied. CK is not. Nanoed Abba is. Rewind anchoring the bush. They're going to harass Joe coming through and back up to safety. So maybe a small macro advantage for Nanoed Abba with the camp. I assume they will get it here momentarily. Yes, they will. And now Rewind on that Tracer. Almost Rewind straight into an orb. That was pretty close.
That was cheeky. Vivin trying to find that combo off of the Rewind, but didn't quite get the right angle. Now flanking from the top, gets a big combo onto Rainer in the back. Meanwhile, Battle Rage is on here on the Shrine Boost.
Yeah, watching what's going on here is why I really dislike is Johanna does not get away. Tracer goes in, finishes off the kill. So early actual advantage here as Rewind now chasing Li Ming. I don't think he's going to get it. No, don't be greedy. Run! Oh, maybe a bridge too far. Rewind does get the kill before he goes. That's something. So not a complete loss. Trades out, so not bad there. But what I was going to say is I hate playing against Kael'thas for what you're seeing here is even if you don't pass the living bombs, you have to be so aware of them. It really breaks up the spacing and what you're trying to do with your team if you're constantly, you know, playing Infernal Shrine Shuffle, trying to not pass those bombs around.
Yeah, meanwhile, Tracer's suicide mission seems to have paid off as even though it was a trade in there, did manage to zone Caffeinated Knights back far enough that they weren't able to come in time to finish, or at least try to contest the shrine. But again, Nanoed Abba not really interested in pushing with that first objective, not that much value. We get good counter push and got good push in the top lane with that Bruiser camp.
Real nice route there by Donald, cutting off the aggressive path there for CK and giving a near clear path of retreat for his own squad. You know, watching Rewind on the Tracer here, CK doesn't have really a kind of standard counter to Tracer right now, forcing Zool to use that bone route a lot. You know, they don't have the taunt variant or a solid auto attacker that can just kind of trade with it, but they do have pressure in the top lane.
Yeah, they get a little bit more damage in onto that top tower, and assuming that eventually the shrine will go to the top lane in this game, which I'm sure it will. They will have that advantage with now having that well down in the top lane.
But as poor as the early part of game one, oh, Rewind eating another combo there. But here comes reinforcements in the form of just Malthael, though. It's not going to be enough. This fort's going to go down. As poor as the early part of game one went for Nanoed Abba, assuming Rewind gets out of this, and Andrew does, because they are definitely overcommitting for a 4-on-2, this game has gone about as well as you could have hoped. Experience is dead even. They did lose the fort, but they secured the first objective. They're getting some counter pressure in the bottom lane. I mean, this is a very even early game.
Yeah, the fort really is the only advantage right now for Caffeinated Knights. Level 10's actually popping up first here for Nanoed Abba as they're going to pick up the Mosh Pit, Tranquility. Looks like that is Rainer's Raider and Last Rites. And Tracer's still holding on to how she's going to upgrade that bomb.
You know, Nanoed Abba has had a couple of decisions where you're kind of questioning, and that what they just showed there was really the sign of a good squad. Just, well, we've lost this bottom fort, or this bottom camp, I should say. They just left. There was no hemming and hawing about it. They knew they couldn't hold it, and they just backed up. That's what good squads do. They kind of know when to draw that line in the sand.
It's like the song goes, Goose. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Exactly right. All right, here we go. I think this next objective, assuming Zool shows up this time, is going to go a long way to determining the rest of this game.
Yeah, mid lane, so no big advantage for either side, but look out. There's the advantage that they're looking for. They get that early pick. They're trying to get the counter kill onto Yep. Big light bomb to secure it. That's going to be a 1-for-1. Tank down on one side, Zul down on the other. And early advantage goes over to the side of Caffeinated Knights with a couple of big abilities there. And they're getting good shrine clear off this double mage.
Yeah, Andrew flexing on that Malthael again, though, really putting a hurting on the side of CK, driving him back. Tracer kind of bobbing and weaving in and out. But Death Timer's low on both sides. Zula will be here first. ETC will be here shortly after. And here we go again.
Yeah, definitely heroic advantage right now for the side of Nanoed Abba, and they're going to need it as they're a little bit behind here on the stride. Yep, goes in. He's going to pop the Mosh Pit. 3-man to start. There is no interrupt on it. Meanwhile, Vinny being taken down there by the Tracer up top. Zol falls to Malthael, and Nanoed Abba charges in and gets that 3-man Mosh, that big team fight win, right when they needed it the most.
Yeah, that was a big-time play, hitting the triple Mosh, no interrupts. I mean, they have enough interrupts. They've got, I mean, they have a ton of interrupts, actually.
The Wave of Force is the one you want.
Well, I mean,
it wasn't available right there.
Well, they have the Wave of Force, they have the Gravity Lapse, they have the Blessed Shield, they have the Condemn. What I think went unnoticed was Tracer, Rewind playing Tracer in the beginning part of that, actually got rooted by Zool, and they threw a lot of CC at him, and all of it just missed. I think that's where all the interrupts went just a few seconds before that. So when ETC charged in, all of their cooldowns were up from trying to take out Tracer.
Yeah, meanwhile, Caffeinated Knights trying to engage past this Immortal, and they end up losing Johanna in the process. So they will get the fort here for Nanoed Abba. They get a kill on top of it, and now they can try to rotate around, see if they can get anything else here.
Yeah, and if I am Nanoed Abba, I'm kind of eyeballing this bottom fort here, honestly. But this Tracer pick has really paid dividends. Rewind has just been an absolute gnat. Harassing, securing kills. He has been all over the place. There he goes again. He's so far been really good about doing what good Tracer players need to, and that they need to flirt with that line of how far they can push it.
Yeah, and so far has done a pretty good job of staying safe and not overextending, but like you said, kind of harassing and walking that line.
Thank you so much for the sub. I don't get many of those, so on the occasion when I get one sent my way, it is very, very much appreciated. Tracer anchoring the bush. Yep, is going to go over there, hit the face melt. Now with Malthael in the top, I really want to see Nanoed Abba back up. They do not want to take this and have this happen. Raynor goes down. The rest of the players running. Rewind soon to follow. With Malthael so prominently showing in the top lane, CK went in hard. They went in pre-16. Now Malthael very likely. Nope, Andrew smelt something funny. He knew something was coming and went the right way.
That'll open up this opportunity for Caffeinated Knights to get themselves this top camp. And again, this double mage might have been accidental, but they do have a lot of siege damage in this comp, so they can choose to try and push somewhere here. They're going to send Zol to the top to clear and kind of resume this 4-1 push as they maybe try and drop back and get their camp. But now, you know, Nanoed Abba still about half a level lead, and you mentioned it, Goose. It was a little bit too late that they noticed they were in trouble there, and with the comp that Caffeinated Knights have, not easy to disengage from. We will see the slide to try and secure positioning there. Donald trying to pop that heal, keep everybody alive with that tranquility, but Andrew will end up going down here. And now the Li Ming reset's coming into play, and Nanoed Abba going to have to back up once again.
Yeah, and that was kind of a repeat of what just happened. They were caught in the exact same spot. They were winning the race to 16, and they took 2 engagements before they had that advantage with somebody showing in the top lane. That's just a way to forfeit all of the hard work they did in the early games, and that's exactly what's happened. Now, CK is in the driver's seat. They have that small level advantage. They will have 35 seconds before Raynor comes up right as the objective is spawning. It's one of those things where you just can't take a 5v4 like that.
Right, and especially after the initial death, still being caught out in lane and losing, you know, yet another hero. Now they're really behind the 8 ball as far as this Immortal goes. And it can't be a worse timing, really, for Nanoed Abba either. It's going to be pushing into this top lane, which has already been softened up a little bit, and could be contesting for a keep.
Now, I do like this decision from Nanoed Abba.
Yeah.
They know they can't contest. They just go somewhere else on the map, do something productive. You take the fort, now you retreat, and you go defend at that keep wall.
Yeah, definitely the right call there. You know, again, not making it worse than that scenario is really important. You don't play into a losing situation like that. But here we go. This is going to be the attempt for the fort. Again, a lot of siege damage on the side of Caffeinated Knights. They're going to poke down this wall real quickly. They're looking for the jump. We'll see if maybe they can get some kind of follow-up on it. Rewind does eat it and is able to get out quickly before the damage and the CC can come in to follow, but the Immortal will get on to this fort. Going to lock it up and stop it from shooting, which is really nice in this changed meta. Again, Yep able to absorb that jump safely, but they're not going to be able to push back Caffeinated Knights quick enough to save their keep. So that's going to be first keep of the game for Caffeinated Knights.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. However, they really should. They are still in a good spot. Both bottom lane and mid lane are opened up. the next Immortal should be on either one of those lanes since it was just in top. So the next Immortal, teams are going to be at or close to level 20. It's going to be, at about the 18-minute mark-ish, 17-minute mark-ish of the game. Those are the ones you can ride. Now, this is the spot for a Nanoed Abba. You see what Caffeinated Knights did there. They knew Zul wasn't there, and they just backed up. That's exactly what Nanoed Abba needed to do earlier. Now Tracer is in a rough spot. She is rooted. There's the Condemn. Blinks and dodges the combo. Appears right back where she was. Eats the Blessed Shield, then dodges the Gravity Lapse. Rewind. Juked everybody on Caffeinated Knights while his team secured the siege camp. Wow.
What a play. That was very impressive for Rewind, showing a great mastery and great patience on Tracer. Part of me thinks maybe did he hit the oh, well, hold on. We've got Mosh Pit coming in. Nice interrupt this time, though. Meanwhile, Last Rites is going to come out. That will secure the Zul kill. And now it's a 4v5. Caffeinated Knight's going to have to back up. But
yeah.
Goose, part of me thinks when you see that root come out, Rewind does have that rewind ability to avoid getting rooted, but instead just stayed in it. It kind of juked in a lot of ways right there because Caffeinated Knights, I think, were anticipating him to use that rewind to go back and then didn't have the abilities ready to actually follow up on the root.
Yeah.
So it's just really, really well thought out play there by Rewind.
Yeah, and he really was living on a razor's edge there. Because if he didn't dodge any one of those abilities, he was dead. But he dodged all of them. And now he set up Nanoed Abba in a position to win the race to 20J and really be in the driver's seat for this next objective.
And now it's all about the macro. Nanoed Abba's got to focus in. You start, I find that the closer I get to that level, that like 20-minute mark, the more my brain starts to wander a little bit, and I can sometimes be prone to more mistakes. So they've really got to hone in here, focus on staying together as a team, striking as one here for this next objective, and making sure they don't make any of these silly errors that we've been seeing occasionally pop up in their gameplay in the first two games.
Now, I like what Nanoed Abba is doing here. They got 20, and then they're posturing on this bruiser camp, knowing it's the only thing on the map. Caffeinated Knights, I'm pretty sure saw Yep snipping around, so they figured something was up, but they are waiting. They do not want to wait too long because 20 is here now, and they're just going to start up on the camp. Tracer going to continue to harass.
Yep, just zoning a little bit, just making Caffeinated Knights earn their entry into this. And watch out, Yep has on the backside a Mosh Pit, but it's going to be instantly interrupted there. Didn't catch the Li Ming. Now the damage coming down. The root is there. ETC falls, but the Death Mach going to catch two. Meanwhile, Johanna caught on the wrong side of that, I should say. Rewind going to be poked out there, and now gets blown up for the combo. 2-1 in favor of Caffeinated Knights.
Yeah, I like the idea of what Yip was trying to do there, but he was so far from his team, you just can't launch that mosh pit that far from your teammates.
Right. A little bit premature, but we do see now they're still trying to contest over this, but now the damage comes in. Andrew is going to fall. Now we've got resets, but Li Ming actually gets blown up. So 1-for-1 as they're trying to get the last few minions here.
Yeah, it's going to be tight.
The root comes down. No, now can they capitalize off of that? We see the flame strikes actually going out onto the heroes, so it's not clearing. Worth noting that the core's taking damage right now for Nanoed Abba, to the shield at least.
Yeah, and then this has to signal the retreat there for Nanoed Abba. They did frankly better on what they were trying to do than I thought they would, trading out kills. But the Punisher has been secured. Both sides sitting with 4 heroes alive. And I think that was another chance for Nanoed Abba there that they didn't quite capitalize on.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too far out, not coordinating quite enough on that Shrine's team fight. Some of the heroes getting minions, some of the heroes team fighting, that could be one of the traps that you fall into on this map pretty easily.
Yeah, and you know, Yep was actually in a good position to simply hit his face melt and then back up to his team, right? Just dismount the entire enemy team and back up and buy them more time on the Shrine Monkeys. He didn't really need to make a play like that.
Right.
You know, sometimes so much of tanking is the little things, anchoring the bush, which is what he was doing, and then dismounting the team and harassing them in rotation and just backing up after that. But even game, level 21 to level 21, 11 kills to 9. Structural advantage certainly for CK, but there are win conditions on the board for Nanoed.
Right. Either team wins a 5-0 team fight right now. The game is essentially over. We will see a little bit of lockdown there on the Rewind, but is able to make it out safely. Now the Pulse Bomb goes out onto Osmosis, and it will be pulled out there. Nice leap of faith by Horbien. And they are able to make it out. Both teams going to live to fight another day here, Goose.
But and this is all well and good for Caffeinated Knights because they have a Catapult and a Merc Camp pushing mid lane. Rewind continues to be a nuisance. He felt that
edge,
one.
Goose. Oh, you're making me. I'm sweating right now. I'm having an anxiety attack.
Now, once again, though, they're taking a fight with Malthael not being here. They just a little more patience, and Nanoed ABBA would put themselves in just a better spot. He does arrive, but they're forced to pop that Tranquility. And meanwhile, back on Red Core, we have 3 Katas crashing down.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Goose. That wouldn't be so bad as an exchange, except for that Tranquility. It's a long cooldown. Now for the next minute or so, that's just an advantage for Caffeinated Knights to be able to pick up on. And that's going to be enough to embolden them to come make this engagement so deep into enemy territory. They almost get the kill on Yep, but Yep does make it out. And meanwhile, on the backside, Rewind still jumping around, gets the Li Ming kill there. Actually, no, that was Raynor that got that kill.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there. Andrew almost walked into that bush party. I think he kind of felt like something was up and went just as far as he should have and then backed up. And Yep surviving, which maybe he shouldn't have. There was so much CC on him, but him surviving meant that all the cooldowns for CK were down, and then the immediate aggression coming out by Nanoed ABBA. They do catch the Zool. They're going to catch Anduin, and that is 2-0. Nanoed ABBA roaring back to life. Currently 3 members down. I think you just go straight to this objective. It's going to push on keep. And they're going to go where? Are they going to prep bottom? No, they're just going to try to rip mid-keep. I think that's a great decision, too. But either way, they want to do something to leverage this. Are they going to try to end 40 seconds with 2 people down? They do have a catapult coming in. That's dicey. They're going to try, though. Core call is made.
They're going to give it a shot. The root comes out onto Yep early here. Still do have 3 members, but again, it's Rewind on the backside, making life tough for Jägermeister. We will see a big flame strike coming in, but on the other side, the slide comes into zone. The shields are down now, but the poke is real. Big Condemn coming out to pin them in. Malfurion goes down first. Now the resets are here as Yep is going to get low, but Johanna actually falls deep on the back line there of Nanoed ABBA as they continue to just pop this down. Rewind gets the kill onto Li Ming. The core is still falling, and that is going to be it, Goose. Game number 2 going to Nanoed ABBA. We're going to a game 3.
I am shocked. I did not like the core call, frankly, and it was really dicey there. But just watching Rewind on that Tracer dance all over the place. That was impressive. It was very impressive.
For the entirety of game 1 and for 22 minutes of game 2, Caffeinated Knights played extremely disciplined and very, very well thought out macro. And then after losing that team fight, they kind of backed up, but they got a little bit greedy going after their bruiser camp. They did that thing that we had been talking about, Goose, which is taking a bad situation, not making it worse, they played into that a little bit in terms of making that situation worse on that camp, and it's just enough to let Nanoed squeak out a game 2 win there. Very back and forth, very close core call. I agree with you. Maybe wouldn't have made that call myself, but they made it work, and now we're going to a game 3.
But the most important thing about that core call was um, they wasted very, very little time. The
Yeah.
keep core call was made very quickly because if you're going to try to make that call, it has to be fast. If you waste any kind of time, you're losing your opportunity there. But they made it. They made it well, and I think we're going to see a tracer ban.
Yeah, that could be. I think Rewind showing a really great mastery on that hero, maybe indicative. I thought maybe it was the Chromie pick that was indicative of that Rewind name from game 1, but nah, I think it has a little bit more to do with Tracer.
Yeah, turns out pretty good. All right, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break to catch our breath, and then we will be back for game number 3. Well, Jason, after game 1 started with a 11-0 unanswered kills for the favored Caffeinated Knights. Spoiler alert, Was not thinking we'd see a game three, but
Yeah, no, I
but
was
here
with
we
you
are.
there. Yeah, very impressive start to the series so far. Just a lot of back and forth. Caffeinated Knights dominating early in game one. Nanoed Abba, kind of hanging in there, showing signs of life. And then this last game, I feel like Nanoed Abba in game two was in control a majority of the game. It was a little bit more seesaw, a little bit more even, but I felt like Nanoed Abba had more opportunities to take advantages, to get wins and get advantages, and then they capitalized on that late in the game and got the win. So I'm really looking forward to this game three. We're going to be going to Dragonshire and very heavy rotational map. So far in the gameplay styles I've seen, I feel like that this map favors Caffeinated Knights a little bit, which makes sense. It's their map pick. So we'll see what happens. But really looking forward to watching this game either way.
Yeah, we talked in game one how the bans suggested that Caffeinated Knights wanted to play on larger macro heavy maps and Nanoed Abba wanted to play more a team fighty style. And I think the way that these two teams have matched up in games one and two, I think that bears out. Caffeinated Knights, I think, is they're higher in the standings, and I think they're the stronger macro team. But the way these team fights have borne out between these two sides, the distance between them in just team fighting is really not that far. So that was a kind of good strategy, I think, by ABBA to identify that and try to keep these games kind of brawly where they can compete, toe to toe with CK.
Meanwhile, it looks like we are about ready to go into the draft here. There we are, Dragonshire. And this time we're going to flip the script just a little bit. We're going to have first pick, first ban going over to Nano to Abba. We'll have to see if that changes anything in terms of their ban priority.
Yeah, it might. It very well might. We'll see how it goes. This will be the first time that CK hasn't had first ban.
I've seen a lot of really great Johanna play so far. We don't see a whole lot of Johanna bans, but it's going to be Malthael banned out here for Nano to Abba, so they're not wanting to see that really strong, not just the strong wave clear, but also the point control that he can bring to that top lane. Makes it kind of hard to play into.
Yeah, and Stukov banned out again. That early mouth ban makes me think that the high mouth prioritization this set from Nano to ABBA isn't just because they have a strong mouth player, which obviously they do, but the ban combined with the high pick leads me to think that CK must have a strong mouth player as well, and the high prioritization is partially to keep that hero away from CK, and they will also keep Sylvanas away.
Yeah, second ban in a row here in this first phase for Sylv. And Johanna going to be banned out for Caffeinated Knights. So after having it for two straight games, they're going to take it away from Nanoed Abba. Wanted to make sure they don't see that on the other side.
Yeah, they've shown real high focus, high priority on the Johanna. And it's understandable she is, top one or two overall tank, I would say.
Yeah, and this season, previous seasons, as long as I've been in NGS,
Yeah, I mean, there are
she's
tanks.
always there.
Yeah, and there are tanks that do specific things better, or if you have a specific style of comp or something specific you're trying to accomplish, Johanna might not necessarily be the best choice. But in like a generalist standard comp, if you were to pick a tank not knowing anything else, you don't know who your teammates are, what map you're on, Johanna just kind of always fits. She's really solid.
Yeah, she's good in pretty much any kind of scenario. I agree. But either way, Raynor picked up early here, taking Raynor again here for on a take. And Diablo going to be picked up once again. We saw that in game one. Malfurion going to be paired with it this time. So you do have that kind of flip into the root combo to try and see if they can't lock down some members of Caffeinated Knights here.
Yeah, and the Malfurion played really well last game, I thought. There were some good roots. The timing on the Tranquility was very good, and no more Tracer.
Yeah, there's that Tracer ban you called out for.
And no more Leeming.
Yeah, Li Ming on the other side. So a couple of respect bans to close out the final ban phase here for this series. Meanwhile, ETC Greymane picked up here for Caffeinated Knights. Nice conservative early picks. Not really showing a whole lot. Greymane, very standard. We saw him very successfully used in game number 1. And very good camp clear as well. And we're going to see the Jaina picked up here for Jägermeister to pair with the Ana. So really good nano target. And again, now they're saving that solo laner for last to see how they can counter it based on what Nanoed Abba picked.
And now we have a Maiev. So this is going to be my guess is a Warden's Cage APOC Twilight Dream combo question mark?
Yeah, Hell in a Cell is normally what we
very good.
What we refer that to.
Very nice, very nice.
And Urel going to be closed out. So we don't see a whole lot of Urel, but again, very good control point solo laner. Decent in terms of self-sustain and damage, but mostly it's just being able to control that point. Leoric, a decent counter. Better sustain is really what Leoric brings to the table over Urel.
Yeah, and this night, this draft by Caffeinated Knights is nothing special, and I say that in a completely complimentary way. They picked a very standard draft with excellent heroes that all fit together nicely. There's nothing. There's no weird gimmick, or it's just a good, solid, balanced all-around comp.
Yeah, I'll steal probably the most overused phrase in all of the HGC saga that we saw is that the burden of execution for Nanoed Abba is much, much higher than Caffeinated Knights. And,
absolutely.
I mean, sometimes that works in your favor, Goose. It's not always meant as a bad thing.
No.
But it's just a more difficult thing. So it's now up to Nanoed Abba to see if they have what it takes to execute their strategy and win. Because if they can, they have a big advantage over Caffeinated Knights, who they can do a lot of stuff well, but they don't have big flashy team fight gimmicks that can win them team fights if they just do it really well.
So let's talk about our teams. The blue team, Caffeinated Knights, trying to take first place in B West with a win here. Cyan CP9 on Leoric, Jägermeister on Jaina, Vivinci on Greymane, Osmanthus on ETC, Harborim on Ana, and Caffeinated Knights. When you watch this, I apologize for butchering your names and saying them in 3 different ways, probably once each game a different way.
And on the right, Nanoed Abba, we're going to see Anatak 89 on the Rainer. Donald once again playing the Malfurion. Andrew going to be on the Urel. Rewind on Maiev. And we've got Yep playing Diablo.
Yeah, you talked about the burden of execution. Nanoed Abba's comp basically has, I think, a higher ceiling and a lower floor. If they play it well, I think it is the stronger comp, but it is much more difficult to play well. And the flip of that is true. Caffeinated Knights, they don't need to do anything special for their comp to be good. They can just play a solid fundamental game, and they will get value out of this composition. So lower floor, lower ceiling, higher floor, lower ceiling, if that makes sense.
One thing I do like is if we've seen anything that's really stood out to us this game, Goose, I would say that it's the play of Rewind on Tracer in game number 2. That really was a moment that, I'll see Rewind in future games and I'll recall that Tracer game.
Sure.
And now we've got Rewind on Maiev, which is another very risk-reward kind of hero, high burden of execution. So now we'll see if Rewind can pull that off this game, but I have high hopes here for game number 3.
Yeah, the other than the play, the other thing that has stood out to me on Rewind is how aggressive he is, and just as a player how aggressive he is. I think this Tracer Maev thing, although he is going to go down here, maybe they're not going to get the Leo. The Tracer playstyle and the Maev playstyle seem to suit that aggressiveness better than the Chromie in Game 1.
The caster curse is real.
I know, we jinxed him.
Never talk about somebody on stream, Goose. It never works out.
We jinxed him.
Meanwhile, good camp still early here for Nanoed ABBA, and now it looks like Caffeinated Knights might be looking to return the favor.
No,
well, maybe not.
I'm surprised. They were kind of thinking about it, but decided not to.
Death Timer's low. Rewind was back up. They were kind of split, but they were looking at it.
Rewind with 22 health down to 13 and gets away, and then he turns around like he wants more. This guy is crazy.
He does want more. He just couldn't take it right in that scenario, but that's kind of the Rewind special, right? You've been walking that edge all series.
That's right, absolutely. So Leoric and Yrel, specifically Yrel, looks to be focusing on that double soak in the mini-map. There's the charge, but no flip. Rewind eating tower shots, is able to use Vault of the Wardens, turns around and goes down, as does Mouth. Something we didn't talk about is Rainer's going to go down here as well. When you have a lot of melee heroes like Nanoed ABBA does, and you fall behind in level, that is very difficult to play into. It's very difficult to play a melee-heavy comp from behind. So I think it's really important for Nanoed ABBA to not do that.
Right, and right now, Caffeinated Knights able to take a nice little advantage here. They're going to get this bottom camp to put a little bit of extra pressure on, but it also looks like right now, Nanoed ABBA is having a little bit more luck with that double soak. Despite the 4-0 kill lead here, they're still hanging in there XP-wise. They're only about half a level behind with the soak. But in comes Caffeinated Knights. They're looking to see if they can push in at all with that camp. Looks like for right now they're going to kind of play it a little bit safe here and just defend the points. We'll see as Rewind charges in if they can find anything off this engagement.
And look at where Rewind is putting himself, just out on an island, too far from his teammates there. He had no real way to get out of that.
Yeah, Greymane and Jaina is a pretty potent combo to be able to punish that that in overextended a little bit too far. So nicely done there. We'll see for right now, Caffeinated Knights do hold both points and are looking to get themselves the first Dragon Knight of the game here.
Yeah, and up a full level, up 5 kills to none, up map pressure. The Leo and Yrel continue to completely negate each other throughout this game so far.
Yep, no big advantage there. Rewind still looking for an engage. We get a couple of Phantom Knife resets there. But again, gets poked down here. You know, Greymane Jaina really good at being able to wear down those heroes up front. And now we'll see the recapture of the points. And Caffeinated Knight's going to have another opportunity here. Yep, going to charge in, but now caught a little bit too far. And Jägermeister going to try to cap and will get that Dragon Knight completed right as they get level 10 here, Goose.
Yeah, that was a real nice job by the Jaina player to keep the slow on Maev, and it really hampered him. And then the Greymane and the Jaina just kind of beat him up. Level 10s are here: Cursed Bullet, Water Elemental, Mosh Pit, Entomb, and a TBD. But I imagine it's going to be the Nano Boost with the Jaina. And it is.
Now we'll see the kick out on to Malfurion right now. They're gonna put some nice damage here into bot lane, but they do want to be a little bit passive here. They want to make sure they get the value out of this Dragon Knight, so they're not gonna push in too far. Kick onto the Rainer there, gonna push back a lot of that burn potential, and the Phantom Knives just coming out for Rewind, just getting a ton of resets on it here as the slide comes in to try to push him out there, but yep, with some nice zoning. And now here come the heroics in. Water Elemental, trying to, along with that Nano Boost, trying to find a kill, but it looks like both teams are going to walk away. And not too much damage there. Nice defense overall there from Nanoed.
Yeah, that was a good peel by Yep, and I don't know if you saw it in the middle of that. Rewind hit like 4 consecutive Fan of Knife procs on the side there. Just obliterated Caffeinated Knight. Basically forced them back just with that damage there.
Just fanning them away.
And heroics are on for Nanoed Abba. It is going to be Warden's Cage, APOC, Twilight Dream as expected, Rainer's Raider, and I don't know her symbols, Ardent Defender for Urel.
And for the side of Caffeinated Knights, they've got that Cursed Bullet, Water Elemental, Mosh Pit, Entomb, and the Nano Boost. I got all the easy ones, dude.
So that
there is the slide in with the Mosh Pit. Nice single Mosh onto the Maiev. Now they're going to turn around and be able to take Rainer along with it. That Jaina damage coming down hard. Now Yep's going to be singled out after getting slowed, but is able to just slide out there at the last second, getting the heals from Donald to make that a 2-0.
Yeah, this the first part of this game, reminiscent of the first part of Game 1, where CK just controlled what was going on.
Yeah, well, again, it's that burden of execution. I don't know that we've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen a Warden's Cage and an Apocalypse at the same time yet.
Nope.
But they've only had a short opportunity. They've only really had one team fight since level 10. So if Nanoed Abba can get on the same page here with that combo, it's pretty potent when it does happen. We'll see if they're able to pull it off here at some point.
And here we go again. Teams collapsing in the mid. Level 13 advantage here for Caffeinated Knights. There goes the Blizzard to down Malfurion. Maiev going down as well. Rainer able to shotgun his way to safety. Diablo not so much. Jägermeister actually tower dives and hits the Ice Lance. And that is 4-0. Souls reset for Diablo. Caffeinated Knights now 12 unanswered kills. And they are very likely to destroy this mid-4.
Yeah, Jägermeister scoring the triple kill there. Very well done. Hits the max ranged Q without upgrading it at level 1. But is able to get the job done there. And that's going to be a nice triple kill, leading to probably a Dragon Knight, leading to probably 16.
And a keep bottom.
Yeah, we'll see what advantage they want to take off of it, but like you said, this looks a lot like the early game for Game 1. I'm not ready to count Nanoed Abba out yet, but Caffeinated Knights definitely playing a very solid game here so far in Game 3.
Yeah, having their brought Leoric down from the solo lane. I really want to get this keep.
Speaking of Leo, wanted to point out that MVP level Entomb, and there it is again, but last time going out onto Donald to catch Malfurion out early. Very well done in that last team fight. But look at the triple tether, still fanning away is Rewind. The cage comes out, but again, not really finding anybody in the APOC on cooldown. We'll see Andrew going in with the shield as they try and engage past this Dragon Knight, but down 3 levels, it's going to be a tough engage. But a big mosh pit comes in on the other side, but it's not going to be enough to slow the members of Nanoed Abba. And the first kill goes down onto Greymane. We will see the overcharge there by Yep, but we see the slide out there by Osmosis.
Yeah, play of that whole sequence was the insta-Twilight Dream by Donald to end that mosh pit and completely turn that fight around. His Malfurion has been real solid these past couple games.
And taking that fight down 16, Nanoed Abba not only able to get that team fight win, but they keep all of their keeps alive here. That was a really great response to what was looking to be an almost dire situation to keep them in the game here.
Yeah, they kind of, I think, rightly felt like despite the lack of 16s, they had to try to defend that keep, and that proved to be the right call. I just, the Twilight Dream APOC Warden's Cage, they haven't had those cooldowns in sync. They haven't been on the same page with it. I want to see that at least once this game hit that combo, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the Hell in a Cell combo is just really fun to watch. So
if
for no
nothing
other
else.
reason than that, yeah, it's definitely worth seeing. But we'll see. They're almost level 16. Rewind's got to look out here, though. Rewind is on an island, which is a place that Rewind's usually pretty comfortable, so that's fine. But a ton of damage coming out early onto Donald, having to retreat, Saiyan just making a beeline, trying to find that Entomb on the back, gets it onto Raynor. Diablo ends up being the first to go down, however, and now Nanoed Abba is on the run.
And down he goes. I do not know how Rewind even got out of there, but despite getting out alive, Nanoed Abba kind of caught strung out a little bit. Their formation wasn't great. It led to a triple kill, and bottom keep very likely going down here to Caffeinated Knights, although they haven't finished it off yet, and the minions have died. Rewind and Andrew trying to make a defense out of it here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Andrew does pop the Ardent Defender just in time, but he will stay alive, but have to retreat, and down goes bottom fort. Keep, I should say.
Keep goes down, and now the shrines are up. So again, great timing by Caffeinated Knights. They're not only winning these team fights, Goose, but they're winning them at just the best possible times in terms of the macro. And again, Nanoed Abba so close to 16 there. They just get a little bit out of position, and Caffeinated Knights is able to capitalize. Now they're level 16. They've got a 1-level window here before the 20s come in. We'll see what they can do with it.
And Rewind in a world of trouble. Does go down. APOC used does not hit any targets. And this will be a DK. They will run it down mid where it will push with the Mercs. Dibble's likely going to go down, and I think that might do it. Or they're going to try for keep. No, they're going bottom, as they should be. Absolutely.
Yeah, they've got the camp. They're just kind of pressuring in mid on the path there. But take a little bit of poke for the heroes, at least. But the Dragon Knight still very healthy here as they push in here for their first opportunity to win condition here this game.
Yeah, and here they go. Now this Merc camp does go in, but the Silence Cage onto Urel. She is eviscerated and forced to run away. Core is melting though, 50%, 30%, 20, 10, game. Turns out Greymane and a level 20 Dragon Knight absolutely shred the core, plus a nano boosted Jaina.
Yeah, doesn't hurt. And then you also you put the Silence Entomb on top of one of your best disrupt heroes on the other side in the Urel, and yeah, very, very well executed, top to bottom there in Game 3. Caffeinated Knights, they didn't let that Game 2 shake their resolve. They came out and played, I think, one of the most complete games I've seen in quite a while, just start to finish. It's reflected in the kill count, 17-1. Just very, very well executed there.
And the flip side of this, if you're Nanoed Abba, you kind of go into this game, we've all been in that spot where you look at the standings, you're like, you know what, this one could be rough. Those guys have been playing really well, and you get a point out of the set. Even though you don't feel great because you didn't win necessarily, but picking up points in losses to teams that are ranked higher than you is actually a good way to climb in the standings and try to get some of those bottom playoff spots. So I think if you're Nanoed Abba, you actually, despite the loss, are feeling okay.
Yeah, and in that scenario, I don't mind the comp that they went. They never were able to pull off the combo, but if you're going into a macro-heavy map like that, where you feel like you're going to need a little extra oomph to be able to take on the enemy team, and you're not completely confident you'll be able to take them on mano a mano with equal strategy like that, pulling out something like a wombo combo comp can be an equalizer, but it is that double-edged sword. This time it didn't work out for them, but you play that same scenario 10 times in a row, maybe you'll win a couple of those games. And it's a worthwhile risk if you feel like that going standard isn't going to work out for you.
Well, Mr. Jason, you and I have to bounce because we have team stuff going on 5 minutes ago. So,
That's right.
no time for an interview, unfortunately. But congratulations to CK on the 2-1 win over Nanoed ABBA. Any shout outs on your way out the door?
Yeah, you guys can check out my channel, Jay's on Hots, here on Twitch. I'll be routinely streaming throughout the season as often as I get a chance. And just in general, a shout out to the casters so far this season. If you guys have not been keeping up with the caster stats this season, it has been absolutely crazy. There were exactly 6 matches missed last week, and that was on the night where there were 24 games on Thursday, which I think is the most we've probably ever had in a single day. So the casters are just crushing it right now as a whole. So it's just a big shout out to all of them, and looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season holds.
Yeah, and it's not just the usual suspects, although we're seeing some very familiar faces casting a large number of games. There's a lot of fresh faces, a lot of new faces, which is really fun to see. Casting crew absolutely killing it this season. And that's a great way to go out. So we're actually going to throw you over to, if you're a fan of Division B West, we're going to throw you over to Linehouse, the new producer of Nexus Edge, which if you haven't checked out what they're doing really great stuff this season. They changed up the format a little bit, and it's gotten really positive reviews, so check it out if you haven't. But Linehouse currently casting Division B West Feigned Competence versus the veteran Roll1 Esports. So we'll throw you over to there, and have a great night, everyone.
W does some things, but it's really just going to be try to poke out Varian for as long as possible to not allow him to taunt anybody. And I can see it working, honestly.
And I just realized I haven't done any of the typing in.
Well, I guess we're not doing that new thing.
Oh no, I'll get it done, maybe.
You'll